Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian. I'm here today through the generosity of the Breda company. I'm taking a look at their reference collection outside of Brescia, Italy. And one of the interesting semi-automatic rifles they have is this one. Now, I have extremely minimal information on this, so we're pretty much going to take a look at it and figure out what it must be. The one reference book I have says that this is a Pavesi model of 1942, which I think it's not quite. Now, we looked at a Pavesi model of 1942 earlier. It was in 8mm, 8x59 Breda. And the one similarity that it shares with this rifle is its safety lever, which is virtually identical, which does suggest that the same company or the same designer had something to do with this. However, this rifle is actually pretty much a direct copy of the Russian Tokarev rifle. Judging from, it's hard to say exactly, maybe an SVT-38, maybe an SVT-40. However, the action, which we'll get to in just a moment, is virtually identical. So this is an Italian-made copy of the Tokarev. Now, who made it exactly? Not really sure. When they made it? Not really sure. How many they made? Not really sure. Don't know a whole lot. So why don't we bring the camera back here and let's pull the action apart, and I can show you why I do definitely know that it's a copy of the Tokarev. So we have a bolt that cycles back just like an SVT. We have a fixed magazine. There's a button underneath that I can push in theory. There we go. So that allows me to manually lock the bolt open. I could then reload, obviously with a stripper clip. Now exactly how many rounds this holds, I don't know. One of the other prototype rifles we looked at here apparently used a 9-round magazine with a special stripper clip. It's possible that this was set up for the same. It's also possible that it was 10 rounds with 2 stripper clips, 2 5-rounders, not sure. Now the rear sight looks just like an SVT sight. And if we look under the handguard here, you can tell this system is taken straight from the SVT. We've got a gas piston back here, multi-part. It protrudes out. Well, you can't quite see that. It protrudes out. We'll get a better camera angle of that in a minute, just like an SVT. And we even have a cleaning rod attachment and a muzzle brake, just like an early SVT. Now, if I go to the back of the action, I have this threaded piece. Well, not threaded, but it rotates, which I can rotate up. That allows this top cover to come off. It's got a guide rod set in it, just like an SVT. A recoil spring comes out. Now, what's interesting is you can see that we've got cutouts here, and in theory, the bolt comes back and lifts straight up out of the gun, but you can't because it doesn't come back far enough. What apparently they discovered was that while they were testing this rifle, it was the bolt was slamming against the back of the receiver because they added this leather buffer on the back of the receiver. See right there how it slides on? Once that is out, then the bolt comes back far enough to lift out. And while this is slightly larger than an SVT, that is quite clearly an SVT bolt. It tilts to lock, so when it's all the way back, it drops down like this, and that is our locking surface right there, which locks up on this recess right here. Hammer fired, like an SVT, that hits the firing pin right there. Although the firing pin on this appears to be jammed. Yeah, the firing pin doesn't want to move, and I'm not going to start poking at it to find out why. So I'll go ahead and put this back. That drops in there. This thing assembles very easily. There we go. Goes forward. This thing just slides on to the back end of the receiver, like that. And then our recoil spring, this recoil spring is way easier than an SVT because it just slides in and it's held in place by the rear end of the receiver. This, we'll hook that over the spring, and then this has its own little guide slots right in there. On the Tokarev, it's kind of a pain to make sure that the recoil spring doesn't kink as you reassemble it. On this one, no such problem. Rotate this down to lock, and we're good to go. Now the only marking I could find on here is a serial number of 875. No manufacturer's marking, no proofs, nothing up here or on the other side. However, down on the stock, we have that 875 again. Here you can see that Pavesi style of safety lever. And it kind of looks like there's that hinge, pivot hinge at the back of the trigger guard, again, like the Pavesi. Well, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I wish I had more information I could share on this. As it is, a lot of these developmental, experimental semi-auto rifles, there just isn't very much data on. Aren't many records. It's been a long time since this was built, and because it didn't go anywhere, no one paid a whole lot of attention to it at the time. So obviously this didn't take off. These were not manufactured in huge quantity, although the serial number does suggest that maybe they made 1,000 of them. I don't know. This is the first time I've seen one. It's also the first reference I've seen for one, other than that one book that I mentioned earlier. So at any rate, I'd really like to thank Breda for their generosity in letting me come here and poke through their racks of early prototype rifles. And I'd also like to thank the fine folks on Patreon who help support me every day. It's contributions from folks like you that really make it possible for me to head out to exotic places like Breda and take a look at rifles like these. So thank you all very much. Thanks for watching. Tune in again to ForgottenWeapons.com for more early semi-auto rifles.